So welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I'm going to be showing you guys a lovely peach kind of brown look on Sanya. As you guys know, in my last video, she is a cousin of mine and also a beautiful model for today. And I'm going to start first with my Sukin Hydration Elixir. Okay, so Sanya has, I would say, a slight combination skin from what I can see, but towards the drier side. So I want to hydrate her skin while I do her eye makeup. So this is a nice oil. Now if you have seen my videos, in general I talk about this. I tend to use oils as a prepping kind of like hydrating step, but I don't do makeup on top of oils themselves because I feel they don't let the makeup sit for very long on the face. You know, they're not really great for durability. So I will hydrate with this, but then I'll wipe her face and apply my other products before I do her skin. So for now, I'm just kind of rubbing that into her skin. And we're going to let it sit here while we do her eye makeup because I prefer doing that. I'm also going to take some CO Big Glow lip balm and apply that all over her lip. So I'm just rubbing that lip balm by CO Big Glow also all over her lip and even outside, because this is just about hydrating her skin while we do her eye makeup. So I'm going to take some Deep Sand by Tarte Shape Tape and mix that in with my medium sand here. I'm going to start creating that base of her eyes. So this is going to help in color correcting any discoloration on her eye. I know a lot of people debate whether they should put concealers and products on the eye before doing makeup, but I feel like I could never just go directly on the skin because I feel your natural oils that would come out of your eyelid would interfere and then not let the makeup stay for a very long time. So for me, it's imperative that I cover it. And then of course, I use my other products before I apply eyeshadow to let it stay as well. So I'm now going in with light neutral and I'm going to make a base of that on her eye as well. So I feel color correcting and covering the eye, making it a neutral color, then lets the makeup that we're going to put on top of it also read true to its color. So a lot of times people will buy eyeshadows and then say, oh god, it doesn't look the same on my eye as it does on the palette. It's because you're putting it on your naked skin and it won't really read as true to the color that you bought. Plus, like I said, for long wear of the eye makeup, I feel it doesn't go really well. If your natural skin is exposed, then your oils kind of blend in with your eyeshadow and it won't let it stay very long. So just blend that out now. So I'm going to go in with my dip down now and I'm using the Morphe M441 to make the base of her eye. And like I've mentioned prior in my videos as well, work with this fast because you don't want it to sit on the eye for too long while you're blending, because then it makes it harder to generally blend this out. Now I'm going to go in with one of my palettes that I do love right now, and I'm going to take Maple from this palette and start going into her crease with that color. Sanya is visiting from the States, so I've kind of called her in on a day when I have brides and all happening, but we didn't want to miss the chance of doing a look because we keep planning it every trip and then it doesn't end up happening. So I thought it has to happen this time. So I've taken it to the crease, but I've also kind of taken it from the crease back down towards the eyelid here. Right? Now I'm going to take Swan from the same palette and just take a flat shader brush and just apply that on the brow bone. And I'm going to go in with Truffle. Just going to go towards the root of her eye here, towards her lash line, and start building this color. So I'm just going ahead and building this kind of rich chocolate brown kind of a color on her eye. Now I'm going to go in with my brown eyeliner now, and I'm going to apply it horizontally like I'm flicking it up, because I'm going to blend this out with a brush. I'm taking a blending brush here and then just smudging it the minute I apply it, because you don't want to give it too much time, otherwise if it sticks to the eye and starts to dry, then it'll become hard to blend. So I'm just going to go in and blend it the minute I apply it. So now I'm going to take my Black Track fluid line and apply it in the inner waterline. Look down. I'm going to also apply it to the top to tight line, and I'm going to take the bronzy color from here, look up Sanya, and apply it to the bottom lash line like that. So I'm blending it across, and then I'm going to take some of the darker color up again and blend it towards the outer corners, not bringing it towards the center and the inner corner, just the outer corner. Right, and then I'm going to take the same slightly here, the brown first, and I'm going to go over the eye now. I'm blending it all over the lid and also slightly outwards towards the crease. So now I'm going to go ahead and take my Huda Beauty Rose Remastered palette, and I'm going to use Blessed, this color, and start building it in the center. So I'm applying it, but I'm going to blend this out a lot as well. I'm going to take my blending brush again, close Sanya. I'm going to really blend this into the lid as well. Band karna phir se. I'm going to go back in now with my truffle from the same palette, and I'm going to start applying it towards the base of her eye again. So I'm just blending that out, so not really have it look like it's structured, but more like it's soft and smoky. So just working the truffle in this area. And now I'm going to use the same color and kind of work it into her corner of her eye here as well. Just going to work that into the corner also, but I'm not elongating it too much, because the last look I did on her, I created a shape where I was dragging her eye out, and right now I want to do a shape which is more towards her eye itself and kind of make it look almost circular as opposed to elongated. Right, so now I'm going to go back in with my maple, and I'm going to apply it towards the outer corner of the crease. For everybody who asks me about palettes, this is a good palette to get if you like to do a lot of brown kind of eyes, and for me that's definitely something I love. Sanya also loves smoky eyes. Whenever I do a brown smoky eye, she always comments being like, do this on me. So I do love a good brown. I feel it really suits our skin tone as well. It really brings our features out. Now I'm going to bring in one of my palettes that I have just purchased, which I quite have been wanting to try. So Sanya is the first person who I'm trying this out on, and that's my Scott Barnes palette, which is quite gorgeous. And I'm going to use the rose quartz from this. So it has these like gorgeous kind of metallic colors, and I'm going to go ahead and go in her. Wow, like look at that. That's like not wet brush anything. The pigment is just amazing. It's also such a good looking palette. I'm such a sucker for makeup that is packaged really beautifully. Yeah, just looks gorgeous. So can you see how strong that is? It's also matching what she's wearing. So I'm going to concentrate this now in the center of her lid. And this again is not a wet brush. I'm just applying it with a flat brush. And this palette I ended up buying because Kiran Khan, who's another fellow makeup artist, who I always blame because she makes me buy everything that she ends up buying. She was also one of my students a few years back, and even then she used to have great like product recommendations. So she had posted and bought this, and then she made me buy this. I also routinely eat everything she posts on her stories. So she posts a lot of delicious things, and I'm always like, you know, Kiran, this is all your fault. But this palette is quite gorgeous. So as you can see, great pigment, great kind of pigment and payoff. Just close. And I'm just applying it in layers to really get that gorgeous color going. And the reason why a lot of you, again in the previous tutorials, have asked why did you do all that bronze under the eye if you were going to cover it with this color, because it's all about creating layers and depth, right? Like this will look very different on a naked eye as opposed to when you do it on top of all of that like shading that we done. So it's about creating depth on an eye. So it's not about आपने पहले क्यों लगाया था डायरेक्टली फिर ये लगा लेते, ये बहुत फ़र्क लगेगा अगर आप डायरेक्टली लगाएंगे और ऐसे लगाएंगे. So I'm focusing it in the center of the eye, I'm not dragging it out. Right, so looks lovely. Let's now go back in with our truffle. I'm going to start building that in the corner a little bit. And I'm also taking it to the middle of the eye just to blend that color we've just applied, so it doesn't look like it's in just one area but blend it all across. Open. So I'm pumping it, as you can see. So we curl her lash. So we're going to go ahead and put this Zoosh number S2, which is this really kind of a softer lash. So I'm just cutting the sides and I'm going to apply my Huda Beauty lash glue. I'm feeling these right now as well because again they look very natural. And apply, just open and look down. Can you see it makes the softest kind of effect on the eye, so it doesn't look like she's even wearing a lash actually. Look down. It actually looks very natural, so this is great when you want to do more modern kind of an eye. You don't want to look like you're wearing a lot of like lash, because I feel sometimes the lash takes over the entire makeup. Now I'm going to go back in with my flat shader brush and I'm going to reapply this color in the center. Just literally in the center. I'm not going around anywhere else now. Just building that pigment in the center of her eye. So now I'm going to go back in with my brown eyeliner and now I'm going to hide the strip of that lash. Just intensifying that lash line, and I'm also hiding any of that strip showing. So now I'm going to go back in with my pencil brush and dip it into my truffle here. Band karna. And I'm just going to swipe it where I've applied the liner to blend it. Up again. And now bring it till from the corners to the center of the eye. Just going over the corners as well. One more time. And then I'm going to dip my brush in the truffle and maple here. Close. Just go in the outer corner. I'm going to take some micellar water and remove that oil we had applied to Sania's face to hydrate it. So look this side a little bit, Sania. Just going to remove any residue there, because like I said, I don't like doing makeup on oils. So a lot of these Instagram videos, just look straight again, show a lot of people dripping oils down their face and then they tend to put foundation on top. I feel like it looks good on the screen, but it's again doesn't really work with makeup lasting for very long. And I feel especially on our kind of skin types, we tend to be predominantly oily and combination skin. I think it's a disaster to apply oil to our kind of skin type and then add makeup on top. It just will not last in the heat and humidity we work around, as makeup artists and even as people who live in a tropical climate. I feel it doesn't really work. So I'm just cleaning around that eye area, the entire face. Sania, look towards me. So now I'm going to apply some of the L'Oreal Mattifying Infallible onto Sania's T-zone first. So here, Again, like I've said prior, they're matrix formers, so don't rub primers in too much. Like some people start to rub them in like moisturizers. It doesn't work. Again, I applied it in the last tutorial on Sanya as well. So I'm going to take a bit of both and apply it under the eye area. Again, this has slight reflective kind of particles, so it will help in brightening this area as well, and then it's good for hydration also. And other than that, to prep, I'm going to use my Glam Glow Glow Starter. I'm going to apply some of that to her face and chest, any area that is going to show, because I want this look again to be nice and dewy. That's the way I like doing skin, regardless of what the texture is like. The hope is that you can bring the skin to looking like it's got a lot of light to it. So just rubbing that, working all that skin product into her skin before we start doing her face makeup. Now I'm going to take a mix of my Tarte Deep, again Tarte Shape Tape in Deep, and I'm going to take some of my Born This Way in Almond, and I'm going to blend those together to make her color corrector. So I'm going to first apply it in all the areas that I feel need color correction. I think this is something that is really, at least I've always missed when I've seen tutorials. I tend to not find many Western YouTubers really focusing on this step, which is imperative for a lot of our skin tones, or most of our skin tones. We do tend to have different pigmentation on our face, different kinds of colors, you know. Again, none of us are ever one color, we tend to be different tones. So this step is imperative as someone who is either wanting to do makeup on desi skin, brown skin, colored skin. You can't miss this, because without this your foundation will not read true to its color. It may look gray. A lot of people complain about that as well, saying I don't know why, but my foundation looks gray. That's because your undertones are still showing through, you know, the darker pigmented undertones, and you have to cover those. So I'm going to mix Charlotte Tilbury's Wonder Glow 51WY by Stay Naked, and I'm going to take Cool Ivory by Bobbi Brown, one pump of the 60WY. So I'm just going to mix those together on my palette and start creating a foundation. Just going to, again, when you're working with these brushes, try not to remove product by doing this. Can you see already you start to remove product when you do that? So that way of applying foundation is great if you're trying to look like you have lesser foundation, but usually when you're trying to apply to hide, conceal, create a flawless kind of foundation, it's best to hold your brush to push it into the skin. The idea is so it settles inside the skin as opposed to sitting on top. So I'm going to go ahead and start blending this in. My beauty blender is damp, and I'm just blending this all over her skin. And again, even with the beauty blender, none of this, gotta push it in. Turn this way, honey. Right, and I'm gonna keep doing that till the foundation kind of becomes seamless. Anywhere where the skin is showing, make sure you're applying the same foundation, because otherwise you'll have different tones of skin kind of showing through. Even in pictures, remember, light tends to absorb where there is makeup and it tends to reflect where there's no makeup. So if you're applying foundation on your face and then people don't do in their chest and neck, you'll see when you do photography that the skin will look like different colors. A lot of people complain about that, you know, वैसे अच्छा लग रहा था, but in the pictures when we photographed, then our necks look different and our, you know, chest look different colors. So it's very important to make it uniform all across. So making sure I blended that all over her skin. I'm going to use that as like my highlighting liquid and go in with my smaller beauty blender and start making kind of a lightness happen under her eye area. Also go in the inner corner. It's very important for this area to kind of look like it's reflective also. Can you see? Immediately it makes a huge difference in how the eye makeup even looks. Other than of course your under eye area, it also looks like, you know, it immediately makes the makeup look like it's kind of lifted. The eye is lifted, the makeup kind of comes alive. I feel that looks great, especially under heavier eye makeup. Right, so there, and I'm also going to apply this center of the forehead, center of her nose, top and bottom of her lip. I'm also going to apply it right under where we will be contouring, so almost here. We're also going to take the same concealer down and also buff it in the center of her neck. Another trick to make the neck look smaller, we've already done a base color that's darker or her own tone a little deeper. When you highlight the center of the neck with a lighter color, then it looks like your neck is also smaller. And I'm going to go straight in with my Laura Mercier powder and apply that just under her eye. Just let it rest for like 30 seconds before I blend that in. On the T-zone as well. And then kind of buff that out. And keep looking up. One of the other tricks, if you want creasing to be lesser, is let them keep looking up while it dries, the concealer and the powder, so it'll crease less when you do that. I'm also going to use it right under the contouring area that I'm going to kind of do powder today on her cheeks to show you guys. Just look straight again, Sanya. Slightly different way of doing it than I did in her previous video. Just gonna dab that. Now I'm gonna go in with my Born This Way palette and I'm gonna use Truffle and kind of contour that eyebrow. I tend to always like to do the top just till here. Don't make it go right till the end of the eyebrow. That can end up looking very harsh. So I feel just at the tip of the eyebrow it should be left looking more natural. So with the Truffle only from the Too Faced palette, I'm creating a strong brow on her. And because I've kept the lash strength less, I feel you can go stronger on the brows without it looking too much. Because on the face, it's all about balance, guys. So if you have thick brows and you try to do them really dark and then you have really heavy lashes, really heavy foundation, when everything is heavy, then it doesn't look as great as having that contrast, right? So I'm now going to go in and just clean on top of that brow, and I'm going to go in with my Huda Beauty mascara. I'm going to use the curl and lengthen one, so look up, and we're just going to go over that false lash and her own lash to get more drama on those lashes. Up again. And I'm going to blend that under her eye now. So sometimes while applying concealer under the eye, of course it tends to move a bit, so I always go in and reapply to kind of darken that area. And I'm going to take this Rose Quartz from the Scott Barnes palette again, look up, Sanya, and I'm just going to go in the tear duct to give the same kind of color here. I'm going to go in with my lower lash now. Make that nice and strong. Alright, so I'm going to fade up that drama there. Just touching that tear duct a little bit. Put it down. Just adding a tiny bit more. to make that kind of striking. And I'm just going to take the fluffier brush, dip it in my middle contour color and the side contour here. I'm going to create some darkness right under her chin. This side pe dekho. And then I'm going to take the same mix and apply that in the hollow of her cheek. So I'm doing now powder contouring as opposed to liquid on this one, just to show you guys something different. But always make sure that you've powdered the face before you do it. So the rule is like upon like. If you try to put it on top of wet foundation, then that can be a disaster. So I'm just going in, creating some contours here on the cheek and under the jaw. I'm just going to also make that nose contour line sharper, and to make it, give it contrast, we're going to dip it into the highlighting color here and also apply that on the sides and the center to give it a nice contrast there. Under the lip also here. And I'm going to use some of this under her eye also, so I'm going to dip my sponge in it. I'm just going to add that under the eye also to give that area some more contrast as well. And I'm just going to take some maple and finish the corners here. So I'm just blending out that color towards the corners. I'm going to take some Born This Way almond now on a small sponge, and just in the inner corner add just a tad bit more, almost like a dot more here. Up again. And I'm just going to put my powder on top of that now. So I have applied the Spice lip pencil all over her lip and to give structure to the lip, and I've applied Day Slayer Huda Beauty Demi Matte Lip. It's this lovely kind of nude, but because of the spice being mixed with it, it becomes like a peachy nude, which will look really good with this eye makeup. We're going to go ahead and use our Sephora Sweet On You. It's like a peachy blush, and I'm going to mix it with my Pat McGrath golden highlight. All right, smile, Sanya. Apply it to her apple of her cheek there, and also to the sides of her face. Smile again. Look slightly this side and smile. Apply the highlight just in the tip of her nose as well here, slightly on her chest, making sure that the cheekbone is also sculpted, so I tend to do almost like a C. Right, and I'm just going to smile, buff that into her cheek. And I'm just going to dab that in the center of her lip. And I'm going to use my fingers to do this. I feel it's easier and better to kind of blend when I'm using my finger. Right, and then just top it off with a little bit of this as well, just in the center. So I'm going to spray some of my Makeup Forever Mist and Fix here. And Sanya has like a little bit of a mole on top of her lip. I want to accentuate that for this look. So I'm going to take some of my dip down, and I'm taking my number 4 Atelier brush. And I'm just going to darken that mole. For this look. I'm just going to dab with that once because I want it to not look like it's painted on. So just before I finish off, I'm going to take my Anastasia Dewy set on my hand and I'm going to take a flat brush. I'm going to dip it, wet my brush, and I'm going to go in my rose quartz here, the Scott Barnes, and just in the center I'm going to make that pigment really strong. So now, as you can see, we've created a lovely kind of soft brown kind of an eye, but we've added that, you know, almost champagne peach on her lids, like a pinky champagne color, and we've added like an almost like a peachy lip on her. The skin's nice and contoured. It's like a striking look, but it's soft. Even the lashes that I applied for this look was soft, but to create a really striking yet modern look. So I hope you guys enjoyed the look. Looking forward to seeing you guys for the next one.